So, why don't we quietly get out of here onto a plane? I can understand you're very upset.
Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset.
With the 8th film in the Mission Impossible franchise in theatres now, promising another series of show-stopping set pieces and stunts designed to surpass what has come before in the franchise, it's hard to argue with its success over the past 3 decades, both with audiences and the box office. I thought, however, it was time to look back to 1996 and have another look at the film that started it all, and in my opinion, is still the best of the series, Mission Impossible. So, what did I think? Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, is framed for the murders of his fellow Impossible Mission Force team members and sabotaging their assignment in Prague. Now on the run, Ethan must form a team of disavowed agents to find out who the real traitor is and clear his name.
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
Ah, the 90s. A time in the cinema where, after the smash hit of The Fugitive, we saw the exciting trend of studios, desperate for box office hits without taking legitimate risks, release a series of big-budget adaptations of classic TV shows of the 60s and 70s. Relying on nostalgia to bring audiences into movie theatres, sometimes on nothing more than memories evoked by the theme tune. And for a short time, it worked. But, as always, Hollywood just went back to the well once too often. Or in this case, the 10th, or was it the 12th time? Jaded audiences could see through the illusion that nostalgia could somehow replace substance as easily as they could see through Sean Connery dressed as a teddy bear.
Welcome to Wonderland Weather, here in our London headquarters. Now allied with our colleagues from Brawley, together we will make history. You all know who I am, and I know all of you.
But Mission Impossible and its director Brian De Palma, and I apologise for the plain words in advance, kind of did the impossible, because in spite of its source material, and let's face it, outside of Lalo Schifrin's iconic theme tune over the credits, which promised action and adventure every week, there was nothing really unique about it. It was just another 60s spy show, closer in spirit and tone to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. than John le Carré. Its characters were as flat as paper cutouts. Stories were filled with ridiculous twists, and even more ridiculously named fictional countries, such as San Felipe, or my personal favourite, the East European People's Republic.
Are you the Judean People's Front?
Fuck off!
What?
Judean People's Front. Well, the People's Front of Judea.
Countries whose people all spoke perfect American English, and whose weather and scenery all just happened to look like Southern California. De Palma, alongside screenwriters David Cope and Robert Towne and story writer Steve Zalian, had taken the shaggy dog story premise of the series and not only produced a film loyal to the premise, but also one of the best suspense thrillers of the 90s, with a commentary on the post-Cold War atmosphere of the decade. This is a film that relies on its plot. Unlike later films in the series, which began to fall back on wilder and wilder stunts and technological twists that at points could almost be magic. Following the traditional introduction of an IMF team filled with recognisable faces, each one with their own speciality, the point man, the beauty, the tech genius, a team of faces we recognise from the opening credits, are killed within 15 minutes, leaving Ethan alone and being hunted by his own side, catching the audience off guard, leaving them to wonder who can Ethan trust, who could die next. Cruise's hunt is also a brilliant protagonist. When introduced, he plays Hunt as the cliched point man, good looking and always cracking jokes, second lead to Jon Voight's Jim Phelps, as it would have been in the TV show. But as the film proceeds, the screenplay reveals a depth of character that TV could never afford in 45 minutes. Ethan is always thinking, always watching, scanning the situation for danger, even when you think he isn't. For example, the moment he reveals to Kitteridge he knows of the second IMF team.
Let's see if you can follow me around the room. The drunk Russian's on the embankment at 8 o'clock. The couple waltzing around me at the embassy at 9 and 11. The waiter standing behind Hannah at the top of the stairs. Bow tie, 12 o'clock. The other IMF team.
He becomes a more interesting character every moment he's on screen, and unlike the sequels, when you watch this again you realise he never once uses a gun. The rest of the cast are also outstanding, be it Ving Rhames to Jean Reno, who, yes, we suspect from the start he's not to be trusted, but you also can't help but like him. But for me, the standout in the supporting cast is Henry Czerny as Kitteridge, the leader of IMF, and the voice on the tapes that self-destruct. Czerny brings a level of calm menace to a Machiavellian character, and somehow manages to deliver the best line of the entire film. And all of this is under the direction of Brian De Palma. Now, De Palma is at the best of times a Marmite director. For every Untouchables, there's a Snake Eyes. But here, he brings his A-game, filling the screen with paranoia, simply through the choice of camera lens and use of Dutch angles. And he uses his encyclopedic knowledge of cinema to create one of the most iconic set pieces in 90s cinema. The CIA heist, ripped off and lampooned in the decades that have followed.
What's wrong, Mackenzie?
I don't want you to panic, but there's a dangerous burglar in the house.
What?
There, in this very room, hiding.
A burglar in the room, you say? My God.
Yeah. In fact, I think it's safe to say the burglar is definitely in the room. There he is!
Where?
There!
Hunt's descent by wire more than references the classic French heist film Rafifi, from the scene playing out in virtual silence to the beads of sweat forming on Cruise's face. Are there problems? Well, of course, but they are slight. The use of computers, and in particular email, is laughable in that Hollywood really doesn't know how computers work kind of way, with computers suffering at points apparent attacks of severe exposition to show audiences the plan is working. But then again, this was 1996, when having an email, never mind a mobile phone, was considered exotic. And is it any worse than the ridiculous, tension-filled download scene we would get barely a year later in The Peacemaker?
This is your big plan?
This is my plan.
As for the controversial reveal of who the traitor is, it divided fans when it was released, with original show cast members condemning the choice. But 30 years on, it's not only shocking, but a brilliant and logical move, and in a popcorn summer movie asks a very serious question. What happens to the warriors when there are no more wars to fight?
Where'd it go?
Order! Order!
Knock it off!
With a masterful soundtrack by Danny Elfman, built around Lalo Schifrin's iconic theme tune. What sets Mission Impossible apart from all its sequels is a director and screenwriting team that although knowing this was a summer blockbuster, managed to make an intelligent and intriguing spy thriller that doesn't treat its audience like idiots. In my opinion, Mission Impossible is one of Brian De Palma's best works. The films that have followed are, no question, entertaining, but do not have the same sense of story and suspense that the first Mission Impossible showed 3 decades ago. You just have to choose to accept it.
I'll get my coat.
Mission Impossible is available to watch in multiple formats and platforms. I know I always say it, but it's Mission Impossible. If you haven't seen it already, why the hell not? Go watch it.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
And if you like this episode of So What Did I Think and want to see more, please remember to click like and subscribe. Always subscribe. Thanks for watching.